Hello, this is Ashi from Crafting with Ashi and welcome to this video. This is the card we're going to be making today. It's a very simple card and it uses some items from Sale-a-bration. So let me show you how I did it. The stamps that we're going to, well, supplies first we're going to use. Let's start there. I've got a Poppy Parade A6 card base. So that's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half. Then I've got a piece of Whisper White, and this measures 14.35 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Then I've got a piece of the Poppy Parade Designer Series paper, and this measures 9.5 centimeters by 13.85 centimeters. So I just go down half a centimeter always to layer. And then I've got some scraps here of basic black. And then in the Stamparatus here I've got some shimmery white cardstock because we're going to do a little watercolouring. The stamps that we're going to use today is called Power of Hope, and this is a Sale-a-bration item, so if you have an order of more than £45 you can choose this item for free from the Sale-a-bration catalogue. And we're going to be using this lady here and the sentiment, and we're going to be stamping them with StazOn. I'm not using StazOn, I'm using other archival ink, because permanent ink, because I can't stand the smell personally of StazOn. I don't like marzipan, so I'm using this. Okay, we're just going to stamp it in the Stamparatus here, so that if we make a mistake we can always restamp. But let's do it one more time. I think it doesn't matter here that the sentiment isn't straight, because we're going to cut it out, so that will solve those problems. Okay, lovely. So all I'm going to do now using this chamois is just, sorry for the noise, just give them a little clean. Because it's archival ink, I like to, permanent ink, I like to clean it straight away. So I'll take those out, put our Stamparatus away, and we're going to bring back first in this sentiment, this piece here, and we're going to be using some of our watercolour pencils and our aqua painter. So I'm just going to do some very quick colouring here, so I'll show you what I'm doing rather than putting on fast forward. I'm just going to lay down some red here. This is the real red, and I'm just laying down a little bit here and on the top of her head here. Okay, and if I want it to be darker I can lay down more colour, but I can always add colour later on. Remember, it's best to do things in layers. You can add colour, but it's more difficult to remove colour always. So, and then I'm going to use here some of the Balmy Blue. And it's a very sketchy stamp set, so you don't have to be perfect with anything. I'm not expecting perfection. We're not trained artists after all. And then I'm going to use a little brown here to accent a hat. And that is all the colouring I'm going to do. So I'm going to take my aqua painter and I'm just going to start it off on my hand. And I don't like too much water because I'd rather control the water, so sometimes I just use it as a brush, but use a normal pot of water. And I've got a little cloth here to wipe off my brush if I need to, and I'm just going to blend very quickly this colour here. And this is one of the things I would always recommend if you're doing watercolouring, to use either proper watercolour paper or our shimmery white cardstock, because if you use our normal Whisper White you will find, or I find anyway, that it doesn't hold water very well and the paper will start to pill. It'll bubble with those pieces. So sometimes people struggle with colouring, struggle with things. It really is about using the right products, using. It might be nice to buy a cheaper paper from the shop because it looks cheap, but it might not do the job as well, and then you'll be disappointed with the results and you'll think it's because you can't do it. Well, actually it isn't. Sometimes it's just because you haven't got the right resources, the right product. and you do, for watercolouring, you do need a piece of paper that can stand up to the water. So I'm just mixing my glue there, and I'm just wiping off my nib on the cloth to make sure. And I'm not doing a lot of fancy work, and that's going to be enough as far as I'm concerned, just like that. I don't want to saturate the cardstock with water, because then everything's just going to merge into everything else. Now if that's the effect you want, great, but that's not what I'm going for today. One thing I do want to show you actually before we finish, and I'm just going to do it on the very edge here, is if you find you need a bit more colour, just so you can take your aqua painter straight to your pencil, just like that, and then you could just go in and give some extra detail like that. So that's just one trick to show you. But we're finished with our watercolouring now, so I'm just going to set that aside to dry, and I'm going to bring back our sentiment that we stamped, if I can find it. Okay, so I found my sentiment. It was hiding from me. Now we're going to be using these stitched rectangle stitch dies, and I'm going to be using the very smallest one to cut out the sentiment, and then I'm going to be using the largest in this little stack here, the second largest and the largest, to cut out Our Lady. So I'm just going to put that through like that, and then I'm going to cut out the same black, the larger one from black, and then I've got a little piece here, so when I've cut this out, I'm just going to stick it down on here and cut around that as well. So I'm going to do all of that off camera, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've put everything through the big shots, and I'm going to stick it together. Let's have my snail wants to work. What's wrong with it today? There we go. We're just going on strike, that's all. So we're just going to layer this piece here in the centre of our black piece. Haven't got that very straight, so let's try again. That's better. Okay, and then we're going to take our scrap piece here of basic black, and we're going to try and mimic the same amount of border that we had there. So I'm not using that side here because that's not a straight edge, so I'm just doing on the straight edge here. And now we're just going to cut around that piece with our trimmer here. I'm happier with that. I only had to do that because there isn't a die that was bigger than this die, so that layered nicely, so I had to cut round it myself. Okay, so now we have our two pieces like that, so set them aside. I'm going to bring back our other bits, and we're going to stick down our Whisper White to our Poppy Parade base, and then we're going to stick down our piece of Designer Series paper, and I've stuck to the same sort of colours, this red, white and black, because I thought it gave quite an oriental theme to it. And then we're going to stick down this here, okay, and then our sentiment. And I love this sentiment that says, "Hope is the power that makes all things possible." I think it's lovely. Don't give up hope. You never know what the future holds. Now I'm going to use some of our rhinestones, and I'll just use these small ones here, and I'm going to use 3 if I can get them off. And this is the old packaging, but the new ones are the same sizes, and you would just use 3 together, because I don't think they have the strips, but this is the same as that, as this size here, so you would just use 3 of those together. And I just thought they added a little bit of bling to her belt. And there we go, those are the cards. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know, and don't forget to subscribe to future videos. If you want any information about this project, it'll be on the blog post on my website, and the links to that and all my social media links, including my Facebook group, which I really would love you to join, is in the description box below. My Facebook group is a place where we can share projects, crafty ideas, ask questions, just generally being lots of crafty, happy chatter. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye!